Guide me in the paths of salvation, O Theotokos.
There is one underlying addiction that feeds all of our addictions, no matter they be drugs or alcohol or people pleasing or hair dye or chocolate or whatever they are. Whatever our addictions are, there's one thing underneath them that's driving all of our addictions. And this is something that is experienced by everyone. No one is exempt from this at all, although we may be more or less entrenched or more or less disposed to this addiction. And this one underlying addiction is the addiction to control. So we want to control our lives. We want to control our feelings. We want to control our reactions. We want to control our future. We want to control how other people think about us and how other people interact with us. We want to control all sorts of things around us. And this is why we worry. This is a lot of the reason why we get upset in our day-to-day lives, is because things are not going with the way we would like them to, not going the way we want to control them. And so we put a lot of stress and worry on ourselves trying to be in control of our lives. And this is what self-medication is. Self-medication is whatever the thing is that we use to try to achieve our control in our lives. So if it's my emotions and reactions that I'm trying to control, then alcohol, drugs, smoking, TV, distractions, any of these things can help me to shut off those emotions that I don't want to experience. And therefore, I think I'm in control of myself and my life. If we're more tempted to try to control our lives through other people, it might be in more manipulative techniques that we medicate ourselves with, that we use to achieve our control. But this is what self-medication is all about, whatever the thing is that we're trying to hold on to make us stay in control. Now, what happens is that the more that we try to hold on to what we think is control, we end up making ourselves sick. The pressure of constantly trying to make everything be the way that I want it to is enough to really physically make a person ill. And we also hurt people when we try to control them, because you can't love someone and control them at the same time. Those are two different things. So we hurt people, we hurt relationships, we lose relationships when we try to control people. We cause a lot of pain in our lives because of this need to control. And probably the saddest thing we do is that this is why a lot of people feel that God is very far away from their life, because they're trying to play God. So when we're trying to control our lives, what we're trying to do is do God's job. We're trying to play God. This may come as a surprise to some of you, but no human being controls planet Earth. We don't even control the squirrels that eat our gardens. We can't control the acorns that fall on our roofs. And we definitely can't control other human beings who are made in the image of God. So what we're doing when we're trying to control our lives, or the things that surround our lives, is we're trying to play God. That's God's job. It's not our job. We do what we can to help provide for our needs and the needs of our family members, to help take care of people, so that we put in the effort that we can to make sure that things go well. But that's a different thing than trying to control, because the final say in all things is God's. It's God who controls the world. Now, we think that us getting control, if we get what we want, then we'll be happy. And that's a lot of why we do this stuff, because we think that I know what I want, and if I get what I want, then everything will be a-okay, and I'll be happy. It's not true. It's actually a delusion. The more we try to control our lives, the more lonely and isolated and stressed out we become, because control and love are opposite things. They're not the same. And so the more that we try to control our lives or control people around us, the farther and farther away from love we're getting. And so we actually end up feeling worse and worse, not happier and happier, the more that we control our lives. Saint Silouan, the Athonite, a wonderful modern saint, he said something that's related to this. That's important, but it's kind of a far stretch for the American mind. So kind of brace yourself, try to open your mind, and understand something that is quite different than the American dream. Saint Silouan said that doing whatever we want is not a form of freedom. It's a form of slavery. It leaves us enslaved to our thoughts and enslaved to our desires that are always changing and always different and never quite lead us in the right direction. And that sort of slavery to our wants can actually be a doorway that can lead us into slavery to the demons if we're not careful to the thoughts and feelings going on inside of us, and whether or not those thoughts and feelings are even ours, or if they're just a temptation. So if doing whatever we want isn't freedom, what is? St. Silouan says that obedience is freedom. Because if I'm obedient to God, and I know that I'm doing the best I can at what He's given me to do, then I'm at peace. There's nothing else for me to worry about. God's in control. He says that we should live this way. I'm doing the best I can to live that way. And in that, there is great freedom, great spaciousness, because we don't have to worry. There's nothing left to worry about. So this is not the same thing as the American dream per se, but in the mind of the fathers, true freedom comes from not indulging all of our desires, but from obedience to God. There's another modern saint. Well, he's not quite canonized yet, but many people believe him to be a saint. His name is Elder Thaddeus of Vitovnica. He's a Serbian saint. And he really mastered this art of the inner peace. And he taught really well about it. He has a wonderful book called Our Thoughts Determine Our Lives. Great book. Read it if you haven't yet. And this whole path of him finding this inner freedom began one day. He heard a voice from heaven. He was already the abbot of a monastery, and there's a lot of cares, a lot of responsibilities that come with that position. He has to care for the physical needs and the spiritual needs of all the brothers. He has to make sure that the monastery itself is functioning and all of the things that the monastery does are going well. It's a lot of responsibility there. And at first it kind of stressed him out. And then he heard this voice from heaven, and it told him, do not take upon yourself the worries of this world too much, but guard your peace and live with God. And this is what he did for the rest of his life. Stopped worrying about the things of this world and gave everything to God. And he found this incredible inner peace and stillness. And this is the key. This is what we're all really looking for. And this is the only way we're going to find it. The more that we give everything that we worry about to God, everything that we want to control, the more that we offer those things to God, the more we will find peace. So we can entrust our worries to God. We can give all of our hopes and our goals, commit them to Him. Our loved ones and people we care about, we want to make sure everything goes just right for them. Give those people to God. The more that we give everything to God, the more He will give us His peace. And you know what Saint Seraphim of Sarov said? He said, "Acquire inner peace, and 1,000 around you will be saved."
By thine intercessions, pure